On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Angels split the weekend series against the Mariners, so not showing off, not lagging behind. We've got three important things to share from the entire weekend. We've got three big takeaways from the entire weekend, and we've got a few updates, plus our thoughts on where the Angels go from here. I'm Mike, that's John, we're the Super Halo Bros, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. Thanks to those that have done that recently. You've been way too kind to us. 5 stars and great reviews. Keep them coming. We love that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On every day. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers right here on Locked On Angels. Excited about that. Whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Monarch Money. You can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day, and happy Monday to you. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Together, we are the Super Halo Bros, a.k.a. the Frisch Brothers, or a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros, however you want to look at it. Most people know us as Super Halo Bros. Hey, we are here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball with you every single weekday, Monday through Friday. On today's show, we got 3 updates, 3 series takeaways, and 3 big moments about the weekend. And we're going to talk about where things stand for the rest of the year. But first, 3 important moments from the weekend, Mike. Let's review how things went here. First of all, the Angels lost Thursday's game to the Mariners 4-2. They won Friday's game 3-2. They lost Saturday's game 7-2. And then they won on Sunday 4-1. They're 51-55, 5 games out of a wild card spot, with 3 games to go against the Texas Rangers starting tonight at home before the trade deadline. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's talk about our 3 big important moments from the weekend. First, John, Zach Neto had his Torii Hunter, quote unquote, moment on Friday. Let me explain to those that are new to the Angels, new as everydayers here. When Torii Hunter signed with the Angels, we all obviously were super excited. And early on in that year, I remember it. I'm sure you remember it, John. Yeah. Torii hit a walk-off home run, and that put him into the category of, okay, this guy's awesome. I think we all went nuts when he did that. And we expected him to be really, really good. And he was really good for the Halos. And Neto had a similar game on Friday night. Let me take you to the bottom of the 10th of Friday's game. Kevin Newman is the Manfred runner on second base. Logan O'Hoppe comes up. John, he hits a long fly ball to center field. And the reason why I'm including this is because it moved Newman to third base with 1 out. And that was a productive out, something that the Angels have really struggled with all season long. So high five to our boy, Logan O'Hoppe, for doing that. Then Wade comes up, Lamont Wade Jr. comes up and follows that at bat with a walk. So runners at first and third with Rengifo coming up. He hits a ground ball to third, but Kevin Newman decides to take off and was tagged out at home. Now, a lot of conversation on the TV side about if he was trying to keep the Halos out of the double play. The infield was in. I know that what you learn in Little League is you always freeze on a line drive and you move on a ground ball. So maybe his Little League thoughts came back to him in that moment. They didn't hit into a double play, which was good, but it was a moment where everybody was like, oh, are the Angels going to run themselves out of this inning? Yeah. But they didn't, John, because Zach Neto then came up. Why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, he hit the ball off the end of the bat, inside out swing, and it just got by the Mariners second baseman into right field. Wade came all the way around to score, put the wheels on in that one. It was the first career walk-off for Zach Neto, and it was also on his bobblehead night. Yeah. I also think that Joaquin and Maggie Neto were in attendance for that one, so that was pretty cool. After the game, he was interviewed by Erica West, and once the interview was over, he grabbed the mic and yelled, "Go Halos!" And then added later that he called his mom after the game, and she said that she said she couldn't stop crying. He was the first person she called. It was pretty cool. Bobblehead night, my first walk-off hit. It's pretty special. So I feel like maybe Joaquin was there. I know at least Joaquin, his dad, was there because he mentioned being in attendance for that. So
yeah, it sounds like the story was that mom wanted to go, couldn't go, but was really bummed because it was his bobblehead night. And so then afterwards, that was his first phone call, and they couldn't even talk because she was just weeping on the phone.
She is so great. Like, we ran into her and Sister Swilly Sports. We all met up last summer and got to chat with her and Zach Neto's dad, and they were so kind to us. And we literally, I think, spent innings 6 through 9 talking to each other and just having a great time. So it was really cool.
Second takeaway, big moment actually from this last weekend was Zach Neto. Again, smart defensive player, John, and not good, smart. And here's why. He had an incredible defensive play on Friday night that saved the game before his walk-off. Now, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Ryan Zefferjon clutching up again in this moment. Now, he got himself into a bit of a mess in the top of the 10th. He walks Cole Young, who's the number 9 hitter. And I hate that. I hate when you give free passes. Leadoff walks and free passes to the hitters at the bottom of the order are terrible. So with 2 on, JP Crawford comes up and he's showing bunts. So the Halos bring the infield in, and Crawford makes contact on the second pitch of the at-bat. And John, bunts the ball over a charging Kevin Newman.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, placed it perfectly, and it should have been a hit, except for Zach Neto. Zach Neto sees what's happening. He's running towards second, decides to flip a Yui, runs back behind behind Newman, scoops the ball, and flips it to third base, where Ryan Zefferjon is waiting. And I loved what Zefferjon said after the game. He said, I've just been taught, since I was little, speaking of Little League, you just don't stand still and watch a play. You have to move. And so he decides to move to third base and covers the bag. Make sure to find the bag, Ryan. By the way, he had to tap at it a couple of times because that was such a wild play.
That's okay. He's a pitcher.
A smart defensive play by Zach Neto. We've seen him throw to third on multiple occasions since he was called up a couple of years ago, John. And this play was, I think, the best play that Zach Neto has made on defense.
Yeah, between Zach and Zefferjon, it was a little Z-fence, if you will. So that was pretty great. Zefferjon got Julio Rodriguez to pop out. Poor Julio. Oh, no.
Your favorite player.
And then he went 3-2 to Cal Raleigh and threw a fastball, got him looking. And then that play by Neto capped off a great night for him. Since we're talking about defense, Mike, how about Joe Adele's home run robbery on Sunday? Came off the bat of JP Crawford. Adele grabbed the ball
JP
back.
By the way. he had a great hit that was taken away, and then a home run that was taken away. And I know that you hate him.
Never, ever, ever, ever say poor JP on this podcast ever again.
You got it.
Or else I'm getting Brother Jeff or Brother Dave to work with me. It came off the bat of JP Crawford. Adele grabbed the ball back from over the center field wall, and it was a huge play too because the Halos had just scored 4 runs in the bottom of the inning before. And so to hold it there was really great. Now, obviously, Cal Raleigh hit a solo home run in this one, so it was 4-1. But to rob JP Crawford, Adele's been looking for that home run robbery all season, and he finally got it.
And talk about defense, John. He finally looks comfortable out there, and it's maybe just what Joe Adele needs from his management. He needs to be placed in a position where he's not moved around to 56 different places, right?
Let's move him to second base next month. We'll see how that goes.
He looked so comfortable, and yesterday looked comfortable and fired up after making that play. Third big moment from the weekend, John, Trout is batting second in front of Nolan Shonowell batting third. Now, we've asked for this for the last few games, and apparently they're listening to Locked On Angels. They finally did it. It started Thursday night, had an immediate impact. Trout hit a double in that game in the first inning, and then Shonowell singled him in. And the numbers, they look productive. Shonowell had 6 hits all weekend long in 4 games in the third spot. Trout went 3 for 10 with 4 walks in the second spot, including his home run on Sunday. Now, this move felt like it caused Mike Trout to be up in some really big moments this weekend. Like, they moved him from third to second because that third position has always been Mike Trout's up late in the game. And then they move him, and then he's up late in the game all weekend long. And it felt like he really continued to struggle late in the game. When he did actually do something, he walked. Like on Thursday, he drew a 4-pitch walk in the bottom of the ninth, which then brought up Nolan Shawnoel, and Shawnoel hits a line drive to left field to end the game. So
Rosarena was all over left field in the series too.
Yeah.
So just nothing was getting down in front of him, to the side of him, behind it. It was just ridiculous. So, Shawnoel did the right thing in that moment, but it was just enough of a hit for Rosarena to catch it.
Now, this obviously was just a 4-game sample size. Both guys hit pretty well. Do you still like this move? Are we still on board with Trout being at number 2, or do you like to see maybe Trout move up to number 1 or be at a different spot in the order?
I still think 1, Mike. I still think that if you want to play to the strengths of the guys on your team, then the strength of Mike Trout right now, currently, as it stands, as his knee's still bothering him, as he's not playing the outfield, is to put him at 1 because he's walking a ton. He's taking a ton of pitches. He fights things off. I know the results aren't always there, but at the very least, you walk him, you get on base to start the game, or he could surprise you and hit a leadoff home run. And that's not to take anything away from Zach Neto. I think that Neto would actually serve better in that 3rd spot. So yeah, for me, I would swap Trout, have Shawnoel 2nd and Neto 3rd, but I'm not going to argue with how this went down. Shawnoel's been great with runners in scoring position, and Shawnoel didn't want to move Trout or move his own spot because he liked batting in front of Trout because of the threat. However, I kind of think Taylor Ward is giving that threat effect for Shawnoel to see some pitches behind him. So do it until it doesn't work anymore and then move Trout to 1. That's what I say.
Love that. And I agree with you. I think that having Trout be higher in the order is better because of the hitter that he is currently.
And he's done it his whole career.
Yes. And here's the thing, and we'll get into some of the veteran talk in the next segment, but there's a lot of narratives around Mike Trout that have to be addressed and have to be wrestled through. And that's why I love being here, talking with you and talking with the everydayers, because this is the place where we could do that together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, we got 3 takeaways from the series, and we'll get into all of that coming right up.
I think we all wish that we could manage money in an easier, more efficient way. And that's where Monarch Money can help you do that. Whether you're growing your savings account or you're planning a big purchase, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You get to track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth, which is great for your future. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. They're going to give you 50% off your first year just for being an everydayer here at Locked On Angels. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. 3 takeaways from the weekend. We're doing things a little bit different on today's show because there's so many threes to talk about. And, I like alliteration. I like, patterns and things like that. Oh, do I have some undiagnosed stuff going on there? Is that why?
You said
it. I'm having this existential crisis on the show.
Admitting it is the first step.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's talk about those 3 takeaways from the weekend. First, the starting pitching was inconsistent.
Yeah.
They had a bad start, a good start, a bad start, and then another good start. On Thursday, Kikuchi started, went 4 2/3, had 7 hits and 3 runs earned, 2 walks and 4 Ks, and the big blows were the 2 homers he gave up to Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena. That all took place in a 3-run 5th inning. Kikuchi allowed 4 straight hits, including those 2 home runs. But then Soriano was sharp on Friday night, wasn't he, Mike?
Yeah, his second straight quality start. He allowed 2 runs in 7 innings against the Phillies last Sunday, and he allowed just 2 runs on solo home runs against the Mariners. And he got the Mariners to hit the ball on the ground. Half of his outs were on the ground, and the other were 5 strikeouts. So he was really good. Ray Montgomery said that Soriano had all 3 of his pitches working, the command, the intent, everything that we've talked about from him was really great. But then everything kind of fell apart after that, because Saturday, Tyler Anderson did a repeat of what Kikuchi did on Thursday, 4 2/3, giving up 6 hits and 2 runs, both on home runs. He struck out 1. Now, he didn't walk anybody in this game, which is good. That's the first time he hasn't walked somebody since May 17th against the Dodgers, but he got pulled, and there were some questions about him getting pulled because they brought in Jose Fermin, and Fermin gave up 3 earned runs, walked 3 batters, and allowed just 1 hit, which was a Cal Raleigh home run, and he didn't even get an out, John. In fact, Fermin's last 6 outings, he's really struggled. 3 innings, 6 hits, 9 earned, 6 walks, 4 home runs, 4 Ks, a 27 ERA. And they're putting him in really heavy-duty situations and asking him to get some heavy-duty outs, and he hasn't really done well in his last few innings, has he?
No, he has not. And I think the biggest question was, why is Tyler Anderson getting pulled so soon? Aren't we doing bullpen games and doing all this bullpen shenanigans? Obviously, we'll have an update about that later on, but aren't we doing bullpen games so that we can have the 4 starters that we have face the Mariners in all 4 games? Wasn't that the point, Mike?
Yes.
Wasn't that the plan?
It was.
So why are we pulling Tyler Anderson before the 5th inning is over? That move I don't understand, and there's been a lot of questionable decisions from Ray Montgomery since he's taken over as manager.
Yeah, it just feels like there's no gut decisions. It feels like it's all paperwork decisions, right?
But that to me didn't even feel like paperwork in that moment. It was just like, I don't know what he saw. You know what it felt like to me? It felt like a gut decision that was incorrect by a guy who's not good at making gut decisions.
Which is why he needs paperwork in front of him, right?
Exactly. And so that's what it felt like to me. And I understand, going through the starting lineup a 3rd time for Tyler Anderson, there's not a lot of success there. But look, like I said, you've been doing all these bullpen game shenanigans so that you could have Soriano and Kikuchi and Anderson and Hendricks face the 4 Mariners games, because these are crucial games. And I just don't think that, if you want me to take you seriously, then you seriously shouldn't take Tyler Anderson out of this game.
Manage like it's a crucial game, right? And that's what we didn't see from Ray Montgomery this weekend.
And even if you're going to pull Tyler Anderson early, don't go to Fermin.
Yeah.
That's like, remember Detmer's given up all those earned runs in, technically a 1/3 of an inning because he can only get 1 out over, 12 batters that he faced. And then they went back to him the next night, and it was like, what are you doing? And so that's kind of what the situation felt like, especially with Jose Fermin.
Well, and that's a Connor Brogdon moment, I think. He seems like he's really risen to the occasion because of what he's been able to do with those moments, and because he's got a lot of, I don't know, he's got a lot of, maybe it's experience or whatever it might be. I found it interesting, John, and you'll appreciate this stat. That Hunter Strickland injury has hurt this team more than I think anybody recognizes. Before Hunter Strickland arrived, the bullpen ERA was 7.04. While he was here, it was 3.24. And since he went on the IL, and this was from a couple of days ago, it's 5.80. And so that moment is a Connor Brogdon moment, or if Hunter Strickland is healthy, that's a Hunter Strickland moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it says a lot about the veterans versus the young guys. Now, I know Zephyr John, Bachman, they've been hit and miss, right? Of course, Zephyr John held it down and really clutched up, but it really is a moment to turn to a veteran guy to get out of that inning. And look, maybe, you're trying to get one guy to get you 1 out, and he couldn't even do that. And so I just think that it's kind of it's a big miss to not go to a guy that you can rely on in that moment.
You mentioned the 3rd time through the order. That was Kyle Hendricks' issue the last couple of starts. But Sunday, John, he goes 6, gives up 2 hits, 1 run, 3 Ks. Now, the 3rd time through the order was about the time that he was taken out of this game, because he went into the top of the 7th inning and gave up a home run to Cal Raleigh, and they immediately yanked him, which was a good decision. But it was the 3rd time through the order. But because he was mowing them down and only gave up just 2 hits up until that 1 hit, really up until that point, didn't really walk anybody, wasn't really messing around.
He was perfect through 4 innings.
Yeah. And that's why he was able to go so deep into the game. So key for Kyle Hendricks is to really mow them down and be pitch efficient in the first couple of innings. That helps him get deeper into games. John, second takeaway from this weekend, man, the vets got to help the young core on this team.
Right.
They just got to help them out, right? We saw 3 late game moments where Trout could have done some damage and he didn't. And we even saw a moment where Taylor Ward could have done some damage and he didn't. And listen, I know they both hit home runs and yay, Mike Trout on his 1,000th RBI. That's fantastic. But it just feels like these young guys are not getting any help from the veterans. And these young guys are going to be inconsistent, and they're going to have moments where they're high and where they're low. Joe Adele is going to go 0 for 4, but he's going to jump over the fence and grab a ball, right? Mm-hmm. Neto's going to do a walk-off, but then not get a hit on Sunday. And what I love about veterans is that they are supposed to bring a consistency to be able to help those young guys. I think of, like, since we played the Mariners, I think of some of the young teams that the Mariners had with some of the veterans on those teams, with like an Edgar Martinez or a Jay Buhner. Those guys would come through, right? They would come through when the young guys were not able to come through, especially Edgar up until like 37, 38, 39 years old. Yeah. He's still hitting the cover off the ball. And it just felt like the veterans on this team so far this season, but this weekend specifically, just could not lift those young guys and say, hey, I got us. Jump on my back. I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah, it's a shame because we know that Taylor Ward can come through. We know that Mike Trout can come through, and they have, and they certainly carried the team at times. And so it's unfortunate that they weren't able to come through in the big moments throughout this series. But also, Mike, the roles have reversed, right? A couple of years ago, we were talking about how, hey, it's Mike Trout, it's Shohei Ohtani, and then a bunch of scrubs, right? Yeah. And then we thought, hey, you know what? The scrubs are gone because now they have a good core of young players to play all around the field. But now it's Trout not coming up in the clutch. And it's unfortunate because we were having a very different conversation years ago. Now, obviously, there's circumstances that affect that. Trout still not feeling great. He said on Sunday that he isn't sure when he's going to get back out to the field after, saying earlier in the week that he felt like he was coming back soon. So there are certainly nuances to all of this. But like I said, the shoe was on the other foot just a couple of years ago where it was, Trout and Ohtani in the scrubs. And now it's, hey, this young core, and Trout's kind of been a scrub. Taylor Ward can be a scrub at times, right, but and again, I don't want to take anything away from those two because they are certainly crucial parts of the lineup. It just feels like, man, can't you guys just come through for once?
Third takeaway from the weekend is this team is who we thought they were, right? They are who we thought they were. Now, I said at the start of the year that 500 would be great. And right now they're kind of floating around 500, which is a great improvement, big improvement over last season, right? Especially if they continue to trend towards the 500 mark. But it's also disappointing because there's been all this talk about being a winner. There's been all this talk about they're going to go for it. All this talk about we're going to try to get to the playoffs, right? And then this weekend happens and they split, right? After getting swept by the Mets. And that's the frustrating part is we got our high hopes. We've been set up to be taken out. We've been buttercupped in a sense, right? They got our hopes really high when in reality, I think most everydayers, you and I included, were like 500 would be a great season. And so this is who they are, right? And going up against a really good team that is ahead of them in the wild card chase. And what did they do? They were a 500 team against the Mariners this weekend.
This series was here's a big word for you, a microcosm of what the entire season has been. Absolutely. In the sense that, they lost the first, they won the second, lost the third, won the fourth. The pitching was up and down. They got blown out on Saturday night, 7-2, right? And then, then you have a great Zach Neto moment on Friday where he clutches up and makes that great play over at third, and then he gets the walk-off. And then, you have moments where Trout could come up and do some damage, didn't do that damage, right? And this has been the story of the Angels all season long. It's very hit and miss. It's up and down. It's 50-50. It's a 500 team, Mike. Yeah. And so again, if you want to know what this season looks like from a 50,000 foot view, well, just look at this weekend series where they split the series with a competitive rival in the Mariners, who are certainly looking to gain ground in the AL West. By the way, the Astros got swept by the A's over the weekend. That was pretty funny. But look, this is, like you said, ending the weekend where they started. 4 games under 500. They are who they are, and they are who we thought they'd be.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Day Hue. They are incredible. They're making clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. If you're watching on the audio side, you can see John's hat. It's the red angel color with the white all over with a red trim. Love it. I have a blue hat that Game Day Hue sent me, and I love these hats because there's not giant logos. They're smart. They're versatile. They work on game day, but also they work on any day. And even if you're out on the golf course, they work on the golf course. They have golf gloves. John's modeling one for us now on the video side, and he's got his hat and looks ready. He's golf ready, but he's also dinner ready. That's what I love about Game Day Hue, is that they don't have these obnoxious logos or obnoxious colors. They're just subtle. You look good, whether you're at a game or you're out to dinner, whether you're golfing or maybe even at the workplace. I love Game Day Hue, and you're going to love them too. And right now, you can get 15% off with the promo code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue, HUE.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors, let them talk for you. Not overblown, subtle, on the golf course, at dinner, at the job, wherever you're at. Let Game Day Hue help you out. That's GameDayHue.com, promo code MLB15.
Mike, we've got 3 important and big updates that we received from a little bit into last week, but also over the weekend. First and foremost, Jack Kochanowicz is back, and he will start tonight's game. Now, he had 1 outing in AAA, and he threw only 3 pitches, 3 not total pitches, but 3 different kinds of pitches. The sinker, the changeup, and the slider.
Mm-hmm.
He ditched the sweeper. He ditched the curveball, I believe. And so
his fastball.
I'm sorry. Yep. Yes, the 4-seam fastball. And so he only threw the sinker, the change, and the slider. So what can we expect to be different about this start tonight? What do you think?
If he has good control, then great. I mean, throw whatever pitch you want to throw. Maybe that's why they limited to those 3 pitches, and that's fine. He threw the sinker 74% of the time in his last start. So far this year, he's thrown it around 47% of the time. So he almost doubled that, tripled that, right? And maybe that's going to be the key for him, is just throw what you're comfortable throwing instead of trying all of these other things. And to the point that you've made on this show when we talked about Kochanowicz in his last start in AAA, the reason why he was throwing the fastball and some other pitches is because they were trying to make him a strikeout pitcher, and maybe that's just not who he is right now. Maybe he needs to be Jack, and Jack is the guy who throws 3 pitches, and he's going to throw these 3 pitches in the game tonight, and he's going to look great. If he can be anywhere close to who he was in his starts last season, then I will be excited. That Jack Kochanowicz went 64 innings and walked just 10 guys, John. Yeah. And so if he can be in the strike zone and low in the strike zone and get these guys to hit the ball in the dirt, that'll be exciting. And you'll be able to tell immediately in the first inning, because he's going to have guys who swing at the first pitch in Simeon and Seager, right? And so we're going to see if they can lift the ball at all. It's going to be troublesome. But if they hit the ball on the ground, and by the way, the Angels play defense behind him in a normal setup, not shading and messing things up,
right,
then I think that's going to be a good sign. So first couple of batters tonight will give us an indication as to how Kochanowicz will be in this start.
It's interesting to me that they looked at Kochanowicz from this year and they went, all right, let's get back to where you had good results, 2024, and let's look at your pitching repertoire. And again, it was the sinker, the changeup, and the slider that he used last season to pitch deep into games, Mike.
Yeah.
It's Jose Soriano without the strikeout ability. That's who Jack Kochanowicz is. And if that's who he has to be, well, 5 games under 500, or I'm sorry, 5 games back of the wild card, 4 games under 500. You got plenty of time to figure out, is this the winning formula for Jack Kochanowicz, or should it be something different? Well, they've tried that something different and it wasn't working. So we'll be very interested to see how he handles things on tonight's game. Second big thing, Mike, is 2 injuries occurred over the weekend. Chris Taylor refractured his hand on a diving play in left field. He's expected to have a similar 6-week timeline, so he's hopeful to return some point in September. And Jorge Soler went on the IL with lower back soreness. He said, I haven't played the outfield for a while, for years, then coming here and playing, it's tough. Bro, didn't you finish playing the outfield in like 70-something games with the Braves last season? Like, you did nothing but play the outfield for Atlanta. So maybe the grass is cushier in Georgia. I don't know. But to me, Mike, I heard that and I went, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, isn't that normal wear and tear in the outfield? Like, it's just, you're running a lot. You're stretch, bro. Like, and maybe he's got a back issue. I don't know, but that's frustrating.
I don't blame him for getting hurt. Like, that's going to happen. But to say, well, it's because I played the outfield. What? You really played? You played like 70 some odd games straight for you DH'd for the Giants. Wasn't great. You went back to Atlanta and you played right field the whole time. So color me confused, Mike, because I have no idea what he's talking about here.
Last update before we get out of here. Jose Quijada is back. Said he lost 30 pounds since spring training.
Let's go spicy.
And it was because of the diet and the protein he was on. And it was the Angels management that helped him get on that. So that was good news. He struck out 3, the side actually, on Thursday night when he came in, and then had a little bit of a celebratory dance afterwards. John, what do you think? What's his role going to be as we move forward? He's just going to be a guy that kind of finds a spot to fill in when needed, or do you think that he's going to be in some of those high leverage moments if Fermin keeps struggling?
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be a good replacement for Fermin in those situations where, look, he's really got the fastball and the slider, right? That's really all he's kind of got going, or the changeup. I'm sorry, the changeup. But the fact that the fastball is back, the fact that, while he was in AA, he wasn't walking a ton of people. Now I had to laugh because I think the first guy he faced, he walked. I was like, oh, well, things haven't changed. But Mike, I think the health goes a long way. The weight loss goes a long way. The fact that the velo is back up, because remember, he would start out and he was sitting at like 90, 91. And it was like, that's not the guy that we knew. But also, he was coming back from Tommy John surgery last year. And so that affected him as well. But what's encouraging to me is that 1.139 whip across 27 appearances and 26 in the third innings in AA. Remember, AA is a little bit more realistic, a little bit more competitive because AAA, the ball flies around the yard. So this gives us a pretty good sample of what he's been capable of. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. If he can keep the walks down, I think that he's going to be pretty effective.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Angels on YouTube so you don't miss out on all of this great Halo content, including the best postcast with Gavin Carlson. He's live after every game right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube, get in the comment section because we'd love to hear from you. Thank you to everybody who kept the conversation going on Thursday and Friday during the solo shows. That was a lot of fun. Mike, what do we have on deck for Tuesday's show?
Well, are the Angels selling? All signs point to yes, right? Like, it looks like it's going to be that team that gives away some of their players. So who will they sell? We've got some inside info, and we're going to share our thoughts on who they should sell and potentially what type of player they should get back. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. Of course, we'll be giving you our takeaways from tonight's game against the Rangers as well. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.